Hi everyone, my name is Chris, and in this video I wanted to show you how you can use 3D Cursor to your advantage for speeding up your workflow and getting better results in using this crucial tool in Blender. We will use 6 examples to show you some of the ways to use it. But before we get into the examples, I want you to remember one important thing that many people seems to forget, which is a crucial understanding what is 3D Cursor, and I want you to remember this sentence. 3D Cursor is a flexible pivot point for any transformation in space, and that's one of the most crucial things to keep in mind while modeling. Now let's get into the examples. In example number 1, we will use 3D Cursor as moving, scaling and extruding point. With that cube we can go into edit mode and select one of the vertices. Let's select this for example. Now with that vertex selected, you can press Shift S and the panel menu will open up with the cursor and selector operator. For now we will focus only on option cursor first to selected. It means the cursor will go into selected object origin point, in object mode and in edit mode into selected vertex, edge or face. Also we need to remember that we need to change our transfer pivot point in this menu to 3D Cursor. And now we can, for example, select other vertices and scale them dependable on the position of this 3D cursor. Vertices will move directly into position. And we can do so many things with that simple 3D cursor in scaling, extruding and rotating. We can also select the axis of the scaling, for example, to only scale the particular axis. To reset our 3D cursor into the word center position, just hit Shift plus C. Now into example number 2. With example number 2, here is the problem. Let's say you want to create some kind of a turret and we created the first gun. But as we can see from the origin point, we cannot just simply mirror it by using this object origin point. What we can is we can use 3D cursor to help us mirror the gun. First we select in object mode our gun hull. Nextly, in edit mode, we select all vertices, they will serve as our origin point. Then we use our cursor to select it, so the 3D cursor is perfectly in the middle. Next, we select our barrel, and now we can right click and select origin point to the barrel to 3D cursor. Now we can correctly use mirror along our object. We can even mirror them alongside of the object to create an 8-barrel gun, and that's some firepower right here. In example number 3, we want to create some sort of a skirt form for our character, but we want it to have some parts differently placed according to our 3D cursor. First I extrude my circle downwards. Now I select only half of them manually. Then I use Alt S scaling to create this base of our skirt. We're gonna also add some subdivision and create some beveling support in the upper part. And now we can edit some strands to model them according to our needs. Select parts only we want to change in the mesh. Example number 4 is mostly about correct placement of the 3D cursor, so we can help during adding meshes of our objects. Let's say we want to create some atom shape for this Y-shaped mesh. Normally when we add mesh it will appear on our 3D cursor. We can use it to spawn elements where our cursor is. I select every ending edge of the mesh, again 3D cursor to select it, and then in object mode we can add a basic spheres so that they will fit for our atom model in a proper location. Example number 5 is similar to example number 2. We want to cut a hole in the cube. To select it exactly in the middle, we could do this by placing 3D cursor right in the middle of our object. In edit mode, by selecting middle vertex, which we can create by adding a loop cut or selecting a face of the object, and placing 3D cursor in the middle will allow us to do so. Nextly, just create a cylinder exactly in the middle and then rotate it to fit it perfectly into our mesh for Boolean operation. What we can do, for example, is to select one of the vertex and maybe scale it by using the 3D cursor to create this little chat icon. And for the final example, I will use my model of a tank for showcasing how we can move entire object with different origin points. When our 3D cursor is in the place and pivot point selected as a 3D cursor, all of our mesh will correspond to the object, which means all of the object will react the same for scaling and rotating our object no matter their own origin point. And that's the sentence that 3D cursor is a flexible pivot point for any transformation in space should be remembered when modeling with 3D cursor. It's really a very good and handful tool if you know how to use it correctly during a modeling phase. If you got any questions, don't be afraid to ask them in the comment section below. I will try to answer to every single one of them. And if you want to support me and learn more about 3D modeling, hit like and subscribe button. Alright, that's it. I see you in the next video.